Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Derek here, and I've got with myself another special guest coming together here. I've got DJ. Now, DJ and I are both DJs. I think it's one of the first things we noticed about each other while we were on the force.
That's right.
But DJ here has got some huge experience when it comes to just law enforcement in general. He's on his way out the door, so to speak. I won't take away his thunder as far as that goes, but there's a lot that can be learned here and a lot that could be shared, if not just great stories and coming from a great human being. So, DJ, how you doing today, man?
I appreciate that. I'm great, man. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, dude, super excited to have you on here, man, because we always saw each other in passing. You know, we never were directly, we'd be on scenes together, we would do things together, but we were never directly in a unit together. But I always had great experiences with you. And it was just so funny that, your partner reached out and was like, hey, tell Derek not to forget how he first signed up for Norfolk Police Department. And also you're like, hey, what's up? I'm with him. Let's talk. I'm like, oh my God, absolutely. And to let everybody know, just so he can hear this too.
Okay.
That I signed up for Norfolk Police Department while attending a Pride event where that's where he was set up. That's where the recruiter was set up. Was at a table at a Pride event, seeing one of our friends. So he always likes to joke about that.
Okay.
But that's beside the point. He needs to hear that. He heard it. Okay. So we're going to get into this, sir. I give this challenge to everybody. Can you describe yourself in 2 sentences for us, please?
Oh man, 2 sentences?
That's all you get.
I don't know if this is a sentence. I'm very motivated and very dedicated. How about that?
I mean, there we go. I mean, and I would agree with that. As simple as that is, but that's the simple approach. And I guess that would definitely apply as your philosophy goes these days, because we're about to get into what we've seen, because you've got quite the resume and time and grade. But yeah, just how did DJ Johnson become to be? How did we get to today? Walk us through that.
Oh, man. Where do I start? So I'm from Norfolk, born and raised. Grew up out Ocean View. I grew up a little bit in Young's Park also. And that's when Sweet Pea Whitaker used to live out there.
Oh, like boxing Sweet Pea?
Yeah.
Okay,
Whitaker Lane was named after him. So stayed out there for a little bit, migrated to Ocean View, and that's where home became home up until about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So Young's Park back then, because I worked Young's Park, which is a public housing sector, at least now. Back then, was it public housing as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went out to Ocean View. Now, is that a step up or a step down from Young's Park at the time? I mean,
it's probably a step over.
Just a step over.
Oh yeah, it was rough, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not trying to be funny, but growing up in the hood, man, I grew up deep in the hood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just chose to make different decisions in my life. That's all. I even saw it at a young age.
You saw that at a young age?
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
I mean, you are a police officer now who's had decades in, and your disposition seems to be unaffected, at least on the exterior, unaffected by your experiences as thus, and like my training officer, he came from Roberts Park, so we have a lot of police officers that are coming from public housing, especially on our force, which was I think that's unique. But as far as, were you able to use that experience to just kind of like, what did that do for you as far as when you first got on, like coming from that?
Let me see. Well, what did it do for me? As a young child, it definitely motivated me to not want to, I guess, live in those conditions. It was rough, man. Any sane person to me won't want to just keep living, hand to mouth all the time.
Yeah.
Who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
Just growing up and being with my mom and stuff like that. It was we were at the bus stop years ago in Ocean View, about to catch the bus to go somewhere. And somebody snatched her purse. And of course I was young. And there was another guy that actually chased the guy and caught the guy. And he got commended for that. So, that always stuck in my brain. I thought it was pretty cool. It was scary and it was pretty cool, all at the same time. But if you're from the hood, a lot of women carry everything in that purse. That
Mm-hmm.
purse is there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything's in that purse.
Yeah.
So we need that purse back.
Yeah. But like these days, like I mean, how many times did you go out to a scene where somebody like stole something and nobody did nothing except record it? So to see that person that you saw, like that was a message that there's something greater than what you're experiencing now, right? There is still morality, there's still hope.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, it was an experience. I can tell you that. Even today, when I go to, well, I don't really go to larceny calls anymore for real, because I'm in school. And I'm sure we'll get to that later, but you know, you try to motivate people or educate people to just be more careful and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is these days. Cell phone, purse. You know, I even told one of my friends because he said that his son was some in reference to his son. So he bought his son some Jordans.
Mhm.
And I told him, I was like, look, man, I was like, don't set your son up for failure because he'll wear those Jordans to school and then he'll walk home and you don't want to set him up to get robbed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody don't have to have Jordans. There's nothing wrong with a nice pair of Nikes or Reeboks or whatever. But yeah, these days and times, man, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. So,
And that having something nice, but specifically the Jordans in an area like that is like wearing a stake around your neck in a wolf's den. I mean, it is what it is. Certain people are looking
Right.
for certain things, and you have these individuals that are either strapped for cash or they love the lifestyle, or they don't know any
Right.
different. And yeah, like it's like, hey, there are some realities out here if you're living in the hood. There are some
Oh,
things
yeah.
that you have to abide by. It's for survival. I mean,
first,
you
absolutely.
lived it. I got the third person view whenever I would patrol or be out there just sitting on, for 12 hours a day out there. I got that kind of peek into that, but I didn't live it. So
Right.
you're out at Ocean View, now you're getting into the teenage years. What was that like for you?
Still motivating. All of my crew that I hung around in Ocean, we all went and got jobs. I mean, one of my friends, he went to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he stayed there so long, he ended up being like one of the top guys. I mean, he is doing very well.
He's still there?
He's retired from there,
Oh,
but
okay.
he did well.
So like manager or something or something up there? Or,
More than a manager, dude. Just he
like
went up
like
there.
regional?
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
more than
Okay.
regional.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
more than regional.
Also like VP, we're talking like up there, executive C-suite, that
He,
kind of
he,
stuff.
he made it way up there.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So he's doing really well. But we all went and got jobs. We started off with the paper routes and cleaning yards and stuff like that.
At what age? What age did you start doing that?
Probably right before preteen, 10, 12.
Okay.
Uh,
Starting to
of
get
course,
a little height, be able to do something with it, that kind of thing. Okay.
Oh yeah. So when I turned, I don't know how old I was, 14, I lived up the street from a convenience store. And I went in there and asked the dude for a job. He was like, well, show me your report card. So I had to wait for my
Okay.
report card to come out. So I sent him my report card. And he ended up giving me a job, cleaning, cleaning outside the store and sweeping and stuff like that.
I love that. Like, I love that. Like, let me see your report card.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dude,
It was a good one.
that's a great one. I wouldn't even think of that. That is awesome. That is pretty dang good, man. I like that. And of course you had the grades to support that, correct?
Yeah, barely, C's and nice high D's, but hey, we always work with it.
But it's okay. You were able to get a job, that kind of thing. So you're at 14. You're working at this convenience store now.
Based off the experience at the bus stop. Well, initially I wanted to be an auto mechanic, but I just can't go home greasy and dirty like that all the time. I mean, no disrespect. It's just me. Do it, man.
You didn't like the grease and just being covered in crap all the time.
No, man, no, I can't. No, not me. I respect all them guys. So But
What about it did you want to do then? If you just didn't want to get greasy, what about it attracted you as far as the job goes?
as far as being an auto mechanic,
Yeah.
I guess just fixing things, man. Just being around it, seeing it, just taking something, fixing it, getting it back on the road.
Well, when did you
You know.
figure out that you didn't like getting dirty or greasy?
When?
When? Yeah, when did you figure that out?
Oh, I guess when I seen them guys, they're underneath the car and you look at their fingernails and look at their hands, I'm like, oh, hell no. No, I'm sorry. I can't do it. No.
But because they don't wear gloves. But you would have fixed that if you wore gloves.
No, but you got to have the skin, the metal touch, the skin, the object touch.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work. And even on the street, I'm sure you wore gloves when you try to search somebody. You can't get the.
Oh, you had to.
Get the feel.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, like like on the outside.
You wear gloves, right? But you can't get the feel like you want to.
Yep. Yeah,
So
especially if you got like something small, like a little capsule or something like that, or a little baggie or something.
Yeah.
You might catch that feeling on your fingertip versus wearing a pair of mechanics gloves or the surgical gloves. I get you. I know. Yeah.
But even then, so back then, I can't remember, but I ended up joining the Boy Scouts, and we got hooked up with the Law Enforcement Explorer program
Okay.
through the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So we got hooked up with the law enforcement program through the Boy Scouts at like 14, 15 years old, something like that. You want to be a policeman as a young kid in the hood is rough, man. So, you try to keep it a secret as much as possible. But then, after a while, it's just like, hey, it is what it is,
I will tell you this. When I was in the academy myself, my wife now, we were dating at the time. We lived in Park Place. I mean, we lived right there off 38th. And like, oh yeah, dude, we got offered crack all the time. And what I did was is I put everything in a big Under Armour bag and I made it look like I was a dumb college student going off to ODU or something like that. Never showed anything in there.
Yeah, I mean, smart man.
Yeah, you had to because they were pushing some D Block and some white girl out there, man.
Well, even in today's time, I tell a lot of cops, old and young, man, I was like, dude, don't wear your shirt home, don't wear your stuff home, because as soon as you get out the car, they're gonna flatten your tires or they're gonna bust out your windows. So just keep all that stuff, discreet. I mean, I know you're proud, but you don't have to display it to everybody. You just don't. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that comes from that having to be. I mean, the behavior of being cautious. Like you had to be cautious. Like that's drilled into you, and I get that too, because especially when I came on and we started having those things with the BLM and then all that stuff like that, and the riots and stuff like that were happening. There was a big concern, but your concern is going back even further back, past that, where you had to contend with. I mean, you just telling me that you were in the Boy Scouts is not something typical of folks that grow up in the hood. Like, let's just be real. Like, that is not typical. So, you focusing on getting a job, you focusing on Boy Scouts, you focusing on doing all these right things. Something happened up here that put you off the path that most folks, unfortunately, get caught up in out in those areas,
Absolutely. I mean, I just, like I said, learned at a young age. I mean,
who'd you learn that from? Who'd you learn that from? Like, who gave
I
that to
don't
you?
know. I don't, honestly, I don't know, and I don't want to discredit anybody, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
It could have been the old guys back in the day, or it could have been anybody. I don't remember, but I just know I had sense enough to know that, I just don't want to live like that. I just, don't want to obviously not go to prison or anything like that. I just kept on the right path. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love my homeboys.
Sure.
And a lot of us are still close to as of today. You had a few of them that passed away, but a lot of them we're still close. I mean, we're 50 years old now, so this is way different from 15. So.
Yeah. So we're around 50 years old. Okay. So what? So when did you decide to become a police officer? How old were you?
All right, so I was 21. So when I joined the Explorers Post, I went through the program, and they actually had. It's weird because the way they had their setup is just like having the academy. They had a rank structure, formation, uniforms, all of that.
All within.
So
So they, I mean, they. It's like a almost ROTC. It sounds like where you just have this folks getting ready. And this, how old were you
right.
when you joined this?
How was I? 15, 14,
15?
15?
15?
Around 15 years old.
Do we have that
Yeah.
now?
We don't have it in Norfolk anymore. I don't know if Virginia Beach still has it or Hampton or Chesapeake, but back then it was real relevant with all the cities having Explorers Posts.
Yeah.
All of them.
It's got to be relevant again, man. That seems like the remedy almost. So anyway, but that's beside the point. I mean, that is the point, but that's also aside from from your story here. So you're 15, you're joining this. When you're in it, like, were you there? Like, were you the motivated, dedicated guy, or were you just like, hey, I'm just kind of figuring this out?
I was there. Moved up in the little rank structure that they had, and I was at every meeting. And every year I went to the Explorer conference. It's just like a boot camp every year that we went to in Front Royal, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took my vacations at the store and went there. That's where I spent my vacation doing that every year. I did it every year for like up until about 21 almost.
Oh wow! So from 15 to about 21.
Yeah, because I stayed through the whole program, and I remember getting recognized by the mayor when I went from Explorer to the academy, then graduating the academy to official policeman.
Wow! So the mayor recognized.
Yeah.
Was this at the graduation that you actually he?
This was at the graduation. Yep.
So what was that? What was that day like? I mean, that was.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I mean, it was a long time. It was like 20. It was almost 30 years ago, but it was pretty cool. I mean, it's something to be proud of. It was a moment,
Mm-hmm.
something that I could, tell people about.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about this, like, who pinned on your badge? By the way, who pinned that on?
Man, was it my mom? Man, I should know that. You know what I'm saying? I think it was my mom. I don't quote me, man. I don't remember.
It was a while ago. I'm sure you'll find out sometime later and be like, yo, edit it in there, man. It was my mom.
Yeah, I didn't even care about the badge, man. I just wanted to carry the gun.
And now the truth comes out. It wasn't about the badge. I'll do whatever you want. Just give me the gun.
Give me the gun. Now I got the gun. I wouldn't even carry it. So
Oh man, but I'm sure at the time, like, that had to have been an absolute moment for you, as far as, like, was that the time you were like, I made it? Like, I'm gonna say it, like, I made it out of the hood. Like, was that the time there, or when did that moment happen for you? Because I mean, everybody has to have that moment when they grow up in that situation. Like, when I would, all my interactions with the young people, especially on the South Side in Diggstown, there's a lot of kids down there that, when they were in their early teens, like, there were some good interactions in there, and then they would just get picked up, and like, you'd watch social media, and these kids would be like, I'm into basketball, I'm into this, I'm into that, and a lot of the caption to those pictures would be "My way out of the hood," right?
Right.
And it's just like, a lot of these kids don't get it. They don't get their way out of the hood. So for you, when was that moment? Because you got your way out of the hood. When was that for you?
So I'm gonna kind of intertwine something. So when I worked at the store, when I got a job at the store, I worked there, and then I remember getting a call to join the police academy on a Friday to be there on a Monday. So, but my boss already knew what was going on and stuff like that, but I still don't think he was too happy about it. So I still lived in the hood for a while. At the same time, I ended up going back to work at the store. And when it was time for him, he was getting tired of getting older, my old boss. And he asked me did I want to buy the store while I was a policeman. He said the only thing is I had to find me a partner. So I did all of that, and we ended up purchasing the store, and I worked the store while I was a policeman for another 10 years.
Wow.
I worked at the store for 20 years. So we bought the store. I did very well, man. I was
So
still
you
in the
would so what was the schedule like? So you own a store, you're operating the
Mhm.
store. Did you have people underneath you? Like was it like in between your shifts? Like what was the battle rhythm for that like?
on my days off. And back then, we only work 8-hour shifts, but we
Mm,
rotate all three shifts:
mm,
days, nights, and evenings. So whichever shift I wasn't working on the street, I was at the store. And I had a staff, I had a full staff, but I did it. I did that for 10 years, man. Like with almost no days off.
oh man.
Yeah, but I was still in the hood and well still in the hood. I still lived out Ocean View, because that's where I was from. That's where I represented being at that store, man. I did a lot for the community and it's not even had nothing to do with the police department.
Well, like what? What were you doing at the store to help?
Food giveaways, the car washes, and I still got those plaques. I got some of those plaques hanging up now on the wall. Let's see what else. We went and shopped for people. You know how they do the shopping for people now
Mm-hmm.
at
Yeah.
Walmart
Yeah, the
and
Walmart
all
with the
that.
cop, shop with the cop.
Well, no, not even that. Like DoorDash and all of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
We did that 30 years ago. I just wish I could put some monetary.
You got to get a copyright. You should have got a copyright on that, dog. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we did that. We used to shop for the old lady or for the elderly. I said, the old ladies, yeah. The old ladies in the hood. We used to shop for them at the store, bring it to the house, and they'll pay us. What else, man? I did a lot, man.
Yeah, but so that was one of the things that I always found was a little frustrating. Is you go to somebody and they see all they see is the uniform, and it doesn't matter
Hmm.
what you say or do or you're doing there. You're still the uniform first, and sometimes that's a bar to communication. That's a bar to doing something for somebody without them questioning it, right? But if you're just wearing, your Denver Broncos shirt or whatever, your Denver shirt right there that you got on, and you're at a store and you're just helping people out, you're doing a food drive, like you're getting the other side of that, you're
Right.
getting that full experience of community service. That's
Right.
amazing that you're able to do that. I know most cops have a grind on the side, right? Where they'll do like real estate or they'll make stuff or, they'll just, there's something, or they just work a butt ton of part time. I mean, that's another
Right.
thing too. But like, I guess that was it for you, that store. And then you did that for 10 years. What happened after 10 years?
Well, I worked there total for 20. I owned it for 10. Eventually, I sold it. During that time also, I bought another store in Chesapeake and I fixed that one up and sold it while I was a policeman. I eventually sold it, man, and I took a break. I was considered hood rich. I did actually quite well, man.
Yeah.
I did well. Yeah.
That's awesome,
There's,
man.
I don't even know if I should be saying this, but for a long time, you know how we get paid every 2 weeks with the city?
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't touch that. I didn't touch my city checks for probably 10 years, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just
Trust me.
lived
There's a couple guys. There's a couple guys that were CROs whose wives were the reason they didn't have to touch their city checks, and you probably know who I'm really talking about. If he's listening, what up, man? Anyway, there's plenty of them out there. But you were able to make that happen, though. You were able to make that happen with this store.
But that was hard work and grind.
Yeah, and
That was
still,
my step.
but yeah, but like sorry, DJ, but any normal person would have a hard time just keeping up with that. You did that, and you also were a cop.
Yes.
So what were you doing during that time as far as a cop goes?
As far as like you talking about working the street?
Yeah, like
I mean,
were you just you're rolling patrol?
I was working the street. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Man.
yeah. Because we only work 8-hour shifts then.
Well,
You
sure.
know?
Yeah, we're doing 12s now, I think. You guys are still doing 12s? Okay.
Yeah.
But still, like even in the 8 hours, like there's still something to be said, man. That's awesome that you did that. I don't know if I could have done that. Because that's a different kind of stress. That's business stress. That's what I'm going through now, man. I'm out of the game, and I'm in a whole nother world. I'm in sales now, man, and that is
Yeah.
no one's shooting at me, but
It's a good stress. I don't worry about anybody shooting at me or anything like that. I don't worry about the fight or nothing like that. But that's a good stress to have. I didn't mind doing it. it was a way out of my predicament, just hard work. I still do it to this day. Hard work. And that's a lot of the frustration I had with the police department. You know, you still stay dedicated to them, but they always got something about them, man.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
You've been on for how long now?
Going on 28 years.
28 years. And before
Yes,
we
sir.
started talking here, I was like, man, what was I doing 28 years ago? It was like,
Right.
that was 96. God
1996.
bless. And to think of the both world events and local events that have happened between now and then. What was rookie DJ Johnson experiencing on the street? What was he experiencing? Well, that's different from today.
Well, rookie DJ Johnson had fun on the street. Actually, I mean, you couldn't wait to get to work, man. And then you didn't want to go home. And if you fast forward and compare it to today's time, you can't wait to get off of work and carry your ass home.
well,
You know,
well, what was the difference there? Like, what were you having fun doing going in and, like, let's figure that out.
being a policeman, man, you can actually go and be a policeman. In
Yeah.
today's time, they want to, you know, somebody complains, it's rough. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, man,
I've already had an episode where I talked about that, man, because it was just like, we had some guys that did some amazing traffic stops on like felonies and felony stops and stuff like that, and they let one little thing go, and then they're getting their friggin', they're getting chastised, or they're actually getting reprimanded administratively, even though the arrest was good, even though they pulled some violent offenders off, they let one slip, and now they're being chastised for it, which is like,
Yep.
I think we're losing the big picture. So back then, what was the big picture back then for you guys?
if I can recall, the big picture back then was just getting numbers. That's when they did numbers back then, and I didn't even agree with that. You know?
Numbers,
I'm
like,
like-
are we talking about the mysterious quotas as far as tickets and
mysterious quota.
PB&Js? Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know, I don't mind putting people in jail and all of that, but I shouldn't have to show a number at the end of the month. I just shouldn't.
We were tracking actions when I was beginning when I was on, and then we kind of got away from it. Were they talking about like
Right.
that, or like if you're like, hey, did it sound something like this? Where it was like, hey Johnson, you didn't pull in 15, you only did 15 misdemeanors and no felonies this week. What's going on?
Right.
Talk to me.
Right. Exactly. It's called monthlies.
Oh yeah,
know?
yeah.
Month. And I never agreed with that, man. I thought that was a crock of shit, for real.
Yeah.
I remember one year when I was an SRO at Norview High School. Worked the school all year, dealt with the Black Mob Gang and the Bounty Hunter Bloods, dealt with all of that stuff, the shootings and everything. So in the summertime they put us back on the street, right? But I used to take the summers off because, man, I'm tired, man. You're wearing me out. Something that happened, I don't know. I went back to the street for like a week or something, I don't know. And I put up there one action on the monthly. And they about had a damn fit, man. So they was trying to, like you said, chastise me and all that, man. I was like, man.
It means that it would equate to me that back then, like, it seems like you were more like a number than you were like,
Oh.
hey, your street supervisor should be like, oh yeah, no, DJ was doing this with so and so, and they actually they got this and this, or they were involved in this, they were doing this. Versus, there's a couple times when I was on where some guys would be like, oh, they would signal to you on a big scene or whatever, then they put that down in their monthly, and you wouldn't see
Yeah.
them. You hear them on the radio, but you wouldn't see them.
See, that's a crock of shit, man. So how is any of that stuff accurate?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's true.
But
I
I
mean,
can-
you gotta track it somehow. I mean, like, you gotta. How do you put a quantity, or how do you put a metric to? Are we policing properly? You don't want to do you have like a zero tolerance detail where you just have to write everybody at a stop sign. Because somebody
Right.
called in and complained, or there was an accident there, or there's something behind that. But aside from that, what are those street supervisors doing to make sure you guys are doing your job? Like, that's the question there sometimes, especially back then. Now I don't know, but that's just we can reflect on what's happened in the past.
Right. I mean, it goes just being a decent person that will make you a great policeman.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
I was telling a friend not too long ago, I try to get people to look past the uniform to see DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Because out there in Norfolk, I got a lot of people that trust DJ and not the uniform.
Yeah.
So I'm able to get things done, or even get the phone calls. DJ, I got something going on. Can you take me to jail, please? You know,
Wow.
I even got that a few times.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And it's just the mere, talking to people respectfully and
Trust.
all of
You
that.
have community trust, man. That's what that
Oh,
is.
yeah. And I'm homegrown also, so
I mean, the
it helps.
system can't be that bad if we're, if you got people like you working in it, it's obviously got a silver lining to it, right? We're not super
Yeah.
patriarchal and oppressive, right?
But what happens when people like me leave, man?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I have to rely on some guy that I look at him and you try to speak to him, he don't even speak.
Mm,
It's like, man, this is gonna be rough.
yeah. And that's something to be said for generations as far as that. So like, you're gonna have people though, like you should have people. I mean, it's all cyclical. You got to believe that, right? You guys are in a slump right now where you're coming off a little bit wounded and licking your wounds since the the defund police movement. That's happening and numbers are down. So you guys are
Yep.
kind of consolidating. You've consolidated in both as a footprint across the city, but also in what you do. But there will be the times where hopefully you have the time where you revitalize the fire of community service, and doing the right thing and hard work, like you said, and who knows, like you get the numbers back up, and then we're jumping out on corners and it's putting butts in jail, and we're getting guns and drugs, and we're keeping people safe and getting back to what we do. And I'm sure, I mean, how many times did you see that cycle where you had the uptick and then the downtick? I mean, did that happen, or is that just like a recent thing?
No. When I joined the police department in '96, we were 100 people short.
Mm.
But they did a Rexy. They did a big Rexy to get rid of all the old guys.
Rexy, what is that?
It's like they did like a big. It's like getting rid of It's like taking out the old and bringing in the new.
So like mandatory retirement, I guess, or offering stuff,
and offering people bonuses to leave and all of that stuff. So I joined in '96 during that era, with Norfolk Police Department being 100 people short back then. Then you fast forward to 2020, what was it, 2021 or whatever, when George Floyd and all that stuff was happening.
It was before then, man. It was like 2020 or 2017. 2016, 2017. It's like right when I joined, it all started to it was downward spiral about a year later.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But then you had a lot of policemen jump ship, which made us like 300 people short. And try to work the street with 300 people short. You're going to calls by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, dangerous calls by yourself.
Yeah.
If
you go, yeah, you're right. If you go. And that's where we're like, everyone's looking at recruiting going, hey guys, come on now, bring it in. And I get it, man. That's the struggle. So you've been on for 28 years.
Going on 28.
Sorry, going on. Sorry, you're not there yet, but you're getting there. 28 years.
Yes.
25 is, well, now it's 30, but 25 is the typical, age of retirement now.
25 is the
beginning.
26 is the max.
Got it.
So I'm still here 2 years later after that.
So what's the plan now? What's our 5-year plan for DJ?
Well, it's less than 5 years now. So I'm retired on duty. So I got like 4.5 years to go or something like that. Yeah, that's if I stay the whole time. I might decide not to even go tomorrow.
It's like, I said too much on this podcast. I'm just going to retire. That's just to let you know.
Yeah. I may not show up, and it's really nothing they can do. I'm already retired.
How does that feel? Like, that's got to be miraculous.
It feels great. It feels great. It's another accomplishment, and I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just being funny, but my soul won't let me do that. I'll let them know that I'm leaving. It feels great, man. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah. What's probably like, I mean, people ask you this probably all the time, but like, of the top, what's like the craziest thing that you've been involved with? Like the craziest thing you've seen that's exciting, not depressing, because we see plenty of that stuff.
when I was with my FTI, my first night driving. So with my FTI, he didn't let me drive for a month.
Hmm.
But my first night driving, we got into a stolen car pursuit, and I was the second car. So the stolen car crashed into. I worked Huntersville then when I first came on.
Hmm.
The stolen car crashed into a pole, and the dude got out and ran. And then the police car that was in front of me ran him over. So I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I ain't a policeman. I'm like, "Holy shit, bro! God damn!" So I think that was a moment where
And that was day one of drive. Hey, welcome to driving, man.
that was day one of driving. Yes,
Did that guy make it?
he got fucked up, but he made it.
Oh, he made it. See, that's that hood luck, man. That's the hood luck right there. Because
Man.
us cops, like you can get dudes out there get shot 5-6 times, they survive. Us cops, we take one little nick and we're bleeding out.
That's right. That's right. You're right. You're absolutely right, man. But I mean, I have tons of stories, but that one sticks out. I remember sitting at military in Norview with another officer eating, and there was another officer that went to a loud noise call in the Ballantyne area. And as soon as he turned onto Dana Street, they were shooting at him, and he got he got grazed in the face, but he returned fire from inside of the police car.
Wow.
But that was going to a loud music call, a loud noise call.
That's typically we roll by, like it's a little bit loud. You roll down the window. Okay, I can hear it. You go up there, knock, knock, knock. Hey guys, somebody called. You just turn down just a little bit. Appreciate it. Thanks. Or you roll up and it's nothing to begin with. That's just one of those, like, it's like a false alarm call, right? It's alarm goes off in a business. There's no one there. Everything's secure. You're good to go. But then you turn the corner, same song and dance, and you're taking rounds to the face.
Taking rounds. Yeah, he took a round to that police car.
Oh my gosh,
So
man.
lucky he leaned back.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think he leaned back. As soon as they started shooting, he leaned back. He got grazed across the face.
Man, that would have been it. But would you say that over a year, there's probably a handful of instances like that happen in a department, right?
Right.
You have survived 28 almost years.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any situation like that? Getting shot at, getting shot, getting stabbed? Anything like that?
That was normal. No, I've been in a lot of fights, though. I've been in 2 car crashes. I remember chasing somebody, and there was a damn pole sticking out the ground. I didn't see that poked me in my goddamn stomach. That shit hurt. Man, that's almost like getting shot.
Yeah.
No, nothing involving gunfire and that like that. As far as like me returning gunfire and that like that. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the reason I bring this up is if you go along a long enough timeline, the likelihood of something like that happening is certain, given a long enough timeline, right? And that's 28 years, right? Where something like that hadn't happened. Like for me, that just being in for 5, it was, not getting sued civilly until I got out. Like, and then I got that.
Yeah, I've been sued three times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just people trying to get something out of you, But that's awesome. That's absolutely fortunate that you're able to do that. And now you're in a position where it's not like you have a crystal ball, but if things are getting heavy or something like that, or things are getting continue to be heavy, you have the ability to say, "Hey, look, guys, I've given a lot to this community. Man, I think I can hang it up and pass it off." I think you've earned that. Absolutely. I mean, come on.
I remember one of the chiefs. I'm not. You notice I ain't calling any names, but I remember one of the chiefs years ago that said anybody on the police department with 20 years has earned the right to sit back.
There's something to that. Let's explore that. There's something to that, right? There's like you want the senior guys to lead the young men, but you want to give the young men the ability to, and women of course, but the young police officer time to step up and take up the reins, and there is more of that mentor role. Like my FTI, right? He had years on all this stuff. He's on his way out for retirement, that kind of thing. The guy has all the time in, right? You remember who I'm talking about. So like he, all his time on the special units and stuff like that, he's just like, all right, you go get him. And that was perfect for me because it was like, I wanted to step up. right?
Oh, you was motivated too.
I don't know if that was good or bad, but I was motivated too, man.
Yes, sir.
But that's what helped me out. Like he didn't have to kick me off the porch. He just had to
Right.
yank me off, yank the leash back a little bit every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that DJ. Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
yanked me a couple times. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sitting in that car late at night. All right, now listen. You can't be doing that. No, you can't be doing that, okay? Are you serious? Proctor, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. We all know, man.
Yeah.
We got a couple of guys there that's very motivated, but they definitely remind me when you were there. Oh yeah.
It's just because I was the loudest on the radio, that's all. Running down the street. Ah! I mean, like my first foot pursuit, I was like, they're like, what's your location? And I was like, I'm at Effingham and I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when my supervisor was like, stop where you are and go back to your car before you get lost.
Yeah, that's when you chase a stolen car through the tunnel, right?
Yep, through the tunnel into Portsmouth. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of learning happened on that call, man. It did. And it came from some senior dudes who were just like, look, I know your pride's involved in this, but you got to understand if you're on your back in someone's backyard in Portsmouth and we don't know where you are, I'm not trying to take that chance. I want to send you 4 or 5 guys to help you take care of business. And I was like, okay. All right, I can believe that. But that's just one young guy. It needs to be to every young guy.
Man, let me tell you something. I do not want to do law enforcement anymore. I respect the game, but I give it to the guys that moving forward that wants to do it. I really don't want to do law enforcement anymore. I think I'm giving it all I got, and it's just time to move on.
Okay. And that's how you feel, man. And that's fine. Like that, anyone else is like, oh, the guy's just, but it's like, no, dude, 28 years of this. That is fine, dude. You go ahead with that. That's good, man. I mean, are you going to own another store?
No more stores, man. No more stores. It takes up so much time, man. I got to spend some time at home.
Yeah.
I spend some time with my mom. I mean, everybody's getting older, man. Everybody's old. And I don't mean to say that to be funny, but everybody is old. I mean, I'm already almost 50 and just add some years to that.
Yeah.
And, that's all my family. I mean, nobody is sick or has passed away, but they're all old.
Mm.
Then I have 2 daughters that lived that police life. Well, at least one daughter did. The other one was in Carolina, but she lived that police life. And, I gotta spend some time at home, man. We all have qualms about our jobs and stuff like that, but for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied. But I just don't want to get back into the field like most guys do, retire and go into another law enforcement agency. But I definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, a lot of guys will go over to like be a deputy or work the courts or something. It's like, does this old dog know more tricks?
Oh man, no.
You got anything to say to folks, especially those who might want to join police force?
Oh yeah. Just make sure you treat people respectfully. Treat yourself respectfully. Treat people respectfully. Make sure you open your mouth and communicate with people, and really, don't just get into the surface. Really be in tune and in depth with people and your job and stuff like that, man. Really, really get involved. Especially if you want to make a difference or see a change.
To see a change. Have you seen a change?
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of changes. Yes, sir.
Awesome. There you go. All right, brother. Well, appreciate having you here. And for that, we'll close it off with everybody take care. We love you. God bless, and do something good today. And that concludes this episode of Solo Surfers Podcast. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank Upbeat for providing the musical intermissions featured in this episode. Now remember, you can find us on Podbeam. You can also find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now you can find our episodes on YouTube.